All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Jets Flight Path. We're just going to get right into it. It's been a pretty eventful week, Super Bowl week, a lot of exciting things to cover tonight. But just getting it out of the way, once again, Jamal Adams, former Jets safety, former star safety, former star in the league, I should say, because his play isn't what it used to be, talking about the Jets again. He's like a jilted ex-girlfriend who can't get over the fact that it's just over. And the Jets have moved on to greener pastures. But he was in a video apparently this past week or so where he was talking about when he was with the Jets, some like little girl who happened to be a Giants fan basically clowned him and said that the Jets are the second-rate team, second-class citizens in New York, and that made him feel disrespected. And that instance was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's just, when is this ever gonna end with him?
Well, I think in terms of New York sports in general, and mostly everybody in New York has come to accept this. You have your four main teams: the New York Yankees, the New York Giants, the New York Knicks, and the New York Rangers. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
four. Those are the four. I guess you could say alpha male teams in New York. And then you have your Jets, your Nets, your Islanders, and your Mets. Okay, a lot younger in franchise age, not as much a success as the other four. I get it, but
Well,
for
I
you,
mean, in terms of hockey, Paul, let's calm down
okay,
now.
all right.
In terms of success there.
Let's. I mean, I can I speak to you in the kitchen after this?
Let's see, four titles in
Yeah.
the past 35 years compared to four and 80. But continue your point.
Before I was rudely interrupted by my co-host. So there's that understanding in New York for Jamal Adams to just be like, yeah, you play for the little brother Jets, and to let that get to him, like bro, just fuck off.
A grown ass
It's
man.
at this point, it's just too funny just to like not to get upset about. Like so, like you said, he was disrespected by saying he plays for the little brother. And another reason why he was done with the Jets was because he felt like nobody wanted to grind out there. Okay, that may be so, but you look at guys on every team, mainly a lot of sports athletes in general. Oh, I'm tongue tied. Once they get to the show, that's it. They put in the bare minimum. You'll see that a lot in basketball,
Hmm.
which is why players like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, and I'll even say LeBron James, are so revered because they're continuously working on their game. They're continuously trying to prove that they're better than every. So I can get Jamal Adams in that sense, but for a guy who wanted to change the culture, and for a guy who wanted
Hmm.
to put New York on his back, and for a guy who wanted to bring a title to a desolate city or a desolate team in New York City, he's doing an awful lot of bitching and moaning. So I really don't care. You know what? More power to him, and I can't wait till he moves his way out of Seattle to go to Dallas, and all that was for naught, because that's all that's going to happen, and it's inevitable. It's inevitable. But
Oh yeah, I mean, Jet fans have been saying it since the trade. It's just he's not going to stay there, even though, oh, I'm dedicated to the Seahawks. Yeah, just like you were with the Jets. His leadership at one point was refreshing when he was drafted and everything for first year, but after like the second year, you started seeing the signs of just him being a diva, a narcissist. And I've said this previously, and I think you said this, like you pointed out long ago, that like something with LSU players, OBJ, Landry, Fournette, Adams, it's like they're all just me, all about me, the player, and not the team, it seems like. But, it is what it is. What's done is done. Uh, the first thing about being smart is knowing what to do. And so we're moving on to this week. We're covering the Jets' first three rounds. Not necessarily a whole big board mock draft. We'll get we'll do that, cover that in April as we get closer to the draft. That's still about 2.5 months out. But Paul, if you want to start us off with the first round, second overall pick, and who you think the Jets will take.
Sure. So, just a little bit of a backstory. I am using PFF, Pro Football Focus, their draft mock draft board. I have the settings set as positional value highest, drafting for needs highest.
Hmm.
Randomness I turned all the way down. Try to make it as realistic as possible. So that's the settings I'm playing with. And then I went into a mindset of trying to acquire the most draft capital, seeing at what Joe Douglas did last year and what he's done, trading players like Williamson away for a fifth round pick,
Oh, so
McClendon.
you did it. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
You did yours um trying to project that trades will be involved because I just did mine straight, which is you know what that's good. That's good. Like you'll
Well,
have your it'll be different.
yeah. Well, well, no, I not that I projected trades, although there were a few trades that I did make. I am just
Okay.
trying to keep with the Joe Douglas strategy, if you may, is
Hmm.
trading back, trying to build capital.
A bit more realistic.
Right, exactly. So with
Yeah.
that being said, I did have offers for the second overall pick, but the teams that were interested were San Francisco, um, the Chiefs. Guys that were coming way up the board, and being that we need a quarterback, I decided to hold on to number two, and I picked BYU quarterback Zach Wilson with the second overall pick. Again, mainly because I think he has such a great arm talent. He's able to step up in the pocket, make that throw. Excuse me. And I think overall he would be a better fit as opposed to Justin Fields, who, yeah, don't get me wrong, great quarterback, but he's a bit of a rusher. I genuinely like pocket passing quarterbacks, but Wilson's able to move around and make throws on the run. So ultimately, that's what made my decision with that pick. So Zach Wilson, number two to the New York Jets.
All right. Well, no use in delaying. We both have the same pick at number two overall for the Jets. As opposed to you, I didn't use any like different simulators. I just looked at various general mock drafts, including other teams, to see what positions other teams were picking. I noticed like we'll get to with the next pick, but the Colts were projected to take an offensive lineman that was looking at that the Jets might take in that scenario. But I just did mine with no trades whatsoever, assuming in the quote unquote perfect draft scenario, the Jets would just stay pat with all their picks. The Jets at number two overall in the first round, I have them taking Zach Wilson as well, quarterback BYU. He just has all the intangibles. Now, this year he skyrocketed his stock. In the previous 2 years before, wasn't that phenomenal, but he showed he can play at the pro level. And the throws that he makes are compared to Justin Fields. Now, Fields is very solid. I think at the pro level, he's going to be very good. But I think Zach Wilson has the edge in accuracy and in under pressure because it's BYU is not Ohio State. You
Right,
know,
right.
they don't have that offensive line. So Zach Wilson, he's not supposed to be outrunning and everything unless there is usually the designed rollouts. And with that, Wilson compared to Fields, Fields struggles rolling out to the left a bit. Wilson, I'm seeing him going all over. Similarly to Darnold when he was coming out, better on the run. Except Wilson, I think like overall, I mean, our good friend Nick compared him, and we talked about this a few episodes ago, to Pat Mahomes. That's a bit much, but I could see the similarities in terms of the arm strength for Wilson, in terms of the angle slots when he's throwing. His footwork, it can use improvement, as with most college quarterbacks coming out. But the big thing that gets me is just the accuracy, especially on the sidelines. To me, in this past year, he had over 3,600 yards, 33 touchdowns, 3 picks, and 10 rushing TDs. I think Zach Wilson will be the pick and will be the centerpiece for the Douglas and Saleh regime.
All right, that's a very good in-depth analysis on Wilson. So we both agree there. Number two is Zach Wilson.
Just
Okay,
order the
so
jerseys now. I'll take a
yeah.
spotlight white Zach Wilson. What do you think if the Jets do take uh, Zach Wilson? What do you think his number would be? It wouldn't be 14. They wouldn't do that, right? They wouldn't do Darnold that dirty.
I don't know, maybe 11. Oh, well, no. Mims
No,
is 11. I don't know.
I was
Maybe,
I was thinking
maybe,
18. I don't know who
maybe.
has 18, but
Not anymore. It'll be Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, it'll be the new face of the franchise. Okay,
Yes.
well, we agree on there. At number two overall, the Jets get their quarterback to replace Darnold. Um, I'll take the next pick at pick 22 in the first round. The Jets, I have them taking outside linebacker Zaven Collins. I may be butchering that first name. A lot of these rookies, we don't know, can't pronunciate their names until after the draft or on draft night. Maybe Zavon, not sure. Linebacker out of Tulsa, he's 6'4", 260 pounds. He won Best Defensive Player of the Year last year. I've seen him go as early in various mocks as like 15 and as late as like second round or like pick 36 or so. But to me, he's impressive enough. The Jets are moving to a 4-3 now under Saleh, and I think if you have Mosley be that centerpiece with now no Jamal Adams, Mosley would step up and be that quarterback of the defense, which is usually the Mike linebacker in a 4-3. You
Right.
bring in, you'll have Blake Cashman back. You hopefully bring back Neville Hewitt, keep him to be, say, maybe the weak side linebacker. You need somebody on the strong side. And I think this rookie coming in, plugging him in, and at times, like a 4-3, you don't necessarily need that pass rusher, like say like Nick Bosa, right away. Like you can have a piece like Zavon Collins and just have him play back a little bit, line up against a tight end. I think he would be a great piece for Salah to utilize.
All right. So, interesting pick. So you went offense, defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I, with the 23rd overall pick, actually traded back to
Mm-hmm.
27 with Baltimore. And so I got the 27th pick. I also got number 59, and I traded 23 and 66. So I was able to move up
Okay.
in the second round, but back in the first. So with that being said, I drafted wide receiver from Florida, Kadarius Toney.
Okay.
So 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. Uh, Basically an absolute machine at receiver. He can outmuscle defensive backs. He's explosive off the line. And his senior year, he was able to break 32 tackles
Wow.
after catch. So, or I'm sorry, he broke 32 tackles on 80 catches over the past 2 seasons. So, you can, I don't know if it's maybe fair to compare him to maybe a DK Metcalf because Metcalf is
Mm.
a lot more built and a little bit taller, but he's got the strength to muscle the defenders to go get those passes, and like I said, he's explosive, and you're really setting up Wilson there with a nice little combo with Mims and uh,
Crowder.
Crowder, yes, and if this is if they don't get one of those receivers in the free agency, the offseason. So
Mm-hmm.
Kadarius Toney, 27th. Like I said, I just like him because the Jets need help at receiver, and
Yeah,
Mims looks great. But if Tony is if he's as good as they project him to be, okay, maybe that opens up Mims a little bit more because he's getting double teamed. So now, okay, now the Jets have options. Like, okay, who do we
yeah,
guard
building up
here in
your
this
offense for your
situation?
rookie quarterback.
Absolutely. So Kadarius Tony and number 27. Okay,
Mhm.
so I guess with you going first, I'll go first again, or I'll go first now. So with pick number 34, the New York Jets select Asante Samuel Jr. from the University or Florida State University.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I picked a cornerback here, which is kind of surprising because I didn't expect him to be here this late in the draft. A lot of mock drafts have him going uh, mid to late first round. But we were able to snag him here in the beginning of the second round, and the reason why I like him is because it helps shore up the defensive end. So you'll have Bryce Hall on one side, who hasn't he looked pretty decent in the few games that he's played.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll be able to pair him up with Samuel. Only 5'10", but this past season he's only allowed 179 yards in 8 games, um, which is pretty incredible. So that's about uh, what is that? 180 divided by 8 is
It's a
what,
number.
like, yeah, it's a number. It's like 30 yards a game, 40 yards a game, something like that. So it's pretty good, and it helps shore up that
22 yards per game.
defensive backfield. So if they decide, okay, we don't want to bring Poole back, or maybe you know uh, like we were talking last week, Norman's costing too much money. Sherman, Richard Sherman's costing too much. Okay, well now we got this rookie back here,
Yeah,
and so that's how I went. I went 34 overall. Asante Samuel Jr.
that's a. I was looking at him, but I didn't think he would be there. For my pick, I'm going with a guy who, again, it's very, and this is what happens with the mock drafts. You got a wide range of players. After like the top 10, it just gets all crazy on where players are projected by various mocks. This guy, I've seen him go in the first round. I've seen him go a lot later in the second round. Um, Jets here with pick 34 in the second round, taking Wyatt Davis, guard from Ohio State, a guy who can start right away. And with the rumors that we'll get into a bit after this, the possibility of the Jets cutting Alex Lewis, regardless, he can play either guard position. Um, he has a solid build to him. The thing about this is like you already have your anchor, right? And Becton at left tackle.
Right?
Most likely you're retaining George Fant at right tackle. And for the first time since, I guess, well, yeah, no, for the first time since Brickshaw Ferguson was with the Jets and healthy, it's been the interior of the Jets that's failed like last year. Last year was a great improvement compared to the previous 2 seasons and Bulls
Yeah.
last year and Gase's first season, where it was just a putrid offensive line, the worst I've ever seen from the Jets. But you need to beef up the offensive line. Joe Douglas knows this. Win in the trenches, former offensive lineman himself. He understands, and he's not going to listen. This is just going to be a fact. At some point, I mean, we could mock and other people can mock wherever. The Jets will will take an offensive lineman within the first 4 rounds. Can take that to the bank. I have the Jets taking Wyatt Davis here. He's 6'4", 310 pounds. Um, I would plug and play him right away, and I'd put him next to, preferably actually, right next to Becton, and just run everything to the left. It doesn't matter who the running back is. Run it to the left, you're scoring every single time. This guy is a very solid piece for the Jets. So, Jets take Wyatt Davis.
All right. So they take a guard with your pick. So where's my
Oh,
mock draft?
I guess you want me to
No,
go
go on,
again?
go for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
So now leaving the second round, the Jets do have two third-round picks, but I'll just only say the one at pick 66 overall. I have them dropping a bit. There's people projecting a few months ago, along with a few others in the first round. Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson, who was very impressive. I think, Douglas and the Jets, they don't want to take a running back there, which is smart. You don't. We've seen running backs go early, and more often than not, disappoint in some form or fashion when you use a premium pick. But at this point in the third round, for a guy of his caliber, a prospect of his talents, we've seen what he has done in Clemson. 5'10", 210 pounds, coming out as a senior, lining up alongside Trevor Lawrence, one of the best prospects in a long while. And coming out of a big school, he's shown he can compete at that level. I don't think it's going to be a situation in years past where a guy hyped up coming out of a big school and doesn't live up to that expectation. At this point in the draft, if the Jets land a guy like Travis Etienne, I think he'll compete with Lamichael Piron for a starting spot. We've mentioned 2 weeks ago when we did offense that the Jets may scoop a guy like Jeff Wilson, have him compete with the starting job there, and I think he'll win out just outright and would be a dynamic piece for Mike LaFleur's offense.
Okay, so all right, so that's a pretty solid pick. So what I did was in that trade with Baltimore, I traded 66 to move up to 59.
Okay.
So I'm back into the second round, and what I did was I took from Washington edge rusher Joe Tryon. He didn't play this year due to COVID restrictions. However, in 2019, he posted 8 sacks. He had 13 tackles for loss, and I believe he posted 70 tackles altogether. Now, this is as a sophomore. What would he have done this year? I don't know. I would imagine as he got older, he was able to improve. But from what we saw in his sophomore year, looked pretty solid. Jets have been dying for an edge rusher since John Abraham back in 2000. So I would definitely take a shot late in the second on Tryon, and hopefully he can fill that position. And if not, if he can be disruptive, great, because then that means Quentin Williams is available on the interior to go up the middle. So I think it would be a nice little reach pick to try and see if maybe they could snag a quality starter late in the second like that.
Okay. Right. And I'll just finish up with mine, and then you could finish
No, that's fine.
your draft. So the last pick in the third round, the last pick for the Jets with this mock draft at 87 overall. I kept going back and forth, and I was thinking, okay, at this point, you know, the only offense really addressed, I mean, of course, the quarterback and the guard. I could go a guy like Marquise Stevenson, a wide receiver out of Houston who has a lot of speed, but I keep thinking to myself, other than, say, the Jets go after a Thuney or Brandon Sheriff, what's stopping them cap-wise or just logically going after Chris Godwin or Allen Robinson? And we'll get into a bit of, other rumors, with Curtis Samuel, but I just think that if the Jets are going to address receiver, Joe Douglas just drafted a receiver last year. The Jets like Mims a lot. They still have Crowder they like a lot. Why not just get that receiver, in free agency? So at this point, I'm sticking with Aaron Robinson here, cornerback out of UCF.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking likely that the Jets, well, we'll see, might not bring back Brian Poole, unfortunately. The Jets can slide him in at slot corner. You can even play a little bit of corner just regularly as well to spell potential of Richard Sherman or another veteran, because the Jets will sign a cornerback in free agency, at least one, if not two, because they're very thin there. But you need somebody to start opposite of Bryce Hall. You need somebody in those nickel packages And I think a guy like Robinson, again, Douglas goes after the guys with a lot of talent that may be a bit raw, which I see that with Robinson, but that can be coached up. And now that you have a new, much better coaching regime in there, guy like Robinson in Salah's defense, I think he can be coached up. I think he can play pretty well for the Jets.
All right, so good analysis there, good pick. So again, I didn't do any trades, so this would be the last pick of the third round, 86 overall. I have the Jets taking a tight end, Brevin Jordan from the University of Miami.
Oh,
A position that has been neglected since Dustin Keller back in the day.
well,
Um,
they've tried. Baby
well,
Gronk, Jason
they've
Morrow.
they tried, but
Uh,
I mean, the past few years it's been neglected. What I like about him, the kid is 6 foot, I believe 7. No, I'm lying. 6'3". Where did I get those extra
he's
4 inches
eight
from?
foot
Six foot
nine.
three, 245 pounds. But when you watch him play, he runs like he's a receiver out there. He's got great agility, great speed. He's a decent route runner. He's able to take the hits over the middle, and still come up with the ball.
A little bit of George
Um,
Kittle.
a little bit of George Kittle. This past year, he had 7 touchdowns for 537 yards, 38 catches, and again, he's a guy that's a little bit raw, but Salah could get in there and or I'm sorry, not Salah. LaFleur can get in there and coach him up a little bit. Uh, I think this would be a nice little value pick for the Jets. Again, it's all about giving your rookie quarterback some weapons to work with, and
And
you'll
also
have
addressing
him,
needs too.
and you have Tony in the first round. In a year or two, these guys start to develop a little bit, and you see the Jets starting to make some noise on offense. But that's really it. That's really all I got to say about him. So that's it for my 3 rounds. Pro Football Focus ranked my draft as a B plus overall. So the Zach
Hmm.
Wilson was A plus grade. They didn't like that I traded with Baltimore, so that was a C plus. Tony was a a B minus. Asante Samuel Jr. was a B minus, and Joe Tridon was a C plus, and then at 86, Brevin Jordan was a B plus for an overall draft grade of a B plus. So
Very solid.
what I'm saying is I should be in the league.
What I'm saying is I need to be hired immediately.
Yes, exactly. No, but again, this was only 3 rounds, and as the season goes on and free agency occurs, and we find out who the Jets target, these are going to change vastly.
Yeah.
So,
Once positions become filled, um, things will change in the draft outlook. We're just starting up pro days. It isn't even officially the new league year
right,
yet. And then of course we have the virtual or whatever scouting combine that will be coming up in March. So this is a very early look at the first 3 rounds of the Jets draft. But there's a lot of guys like that you mentioned, especially Jordan there that I was looking at as well. But it's so hard because you have to look at like what other teams may pick, and I can
right,
only imagine how it is in a war room. It's like you narrow it down to maybe about like 3 or 4 guys to hope to fall to your pick. And then if they don't fall, it's like, well, shit, I'm just going to trade out. Which I think
right,
is how I think that's like the Joe Douglas strategy is aim for those type of excuse me guys that we both listed with who may be a little raw around the edges, but have a ton of potential to be great starters in this league at their respective position. Um, but if the value's not there, and also addressing needs is important. Something past GMs is completely ignored. As we saw from Douglas's first draft last year, he hit a lot of needs and took a lot of players with some risk. Um, but the talent was there, and we'll see this year with Douglas's draft. But like I said, we'll talk more about it, cover more draft prospects as we get closer and closer to the draft. Um, but moving on, we'll talk about now Jets beat reporter Connor Hughes. I believe he writes for the Athletic, if I'm not mistaken. Um, had a few notes posted on Twitter a few days ago. Some that are pretty obvious. I think there's, most Jets fans who are cognizant or aware of the cap situation and play. Henry Anderson will more than likely be cut. That will save the Jets an additional $8 million. Throw that right on top of the cap. I, I like with that specific thing. Like, Paul, do you think anything different will happen with Henry Anderson? Well, maybe they trade him. I don't know.
With the cap being the way it is, I think it's sitting at 180 million this year. Teams are going to need every dollar they can get, so he'll be a cap casualty. I think the Jets just outright cut him. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Jets picked him up for seventh a few years back, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I don't see them getting really much of anything for him, especially with how he's played over the past season. So I think he's
E-
just going to be a cap casualty.
yeah. Currently, the Jets stand at let's see, uh, 63 million, 63.5 million. The Colts have just shy of 65 million. The Jaguars have the most cap space currently with 73 million. So with a move like that, the Jets can shoot up right to 71 million by just cutting at this point, a backup, Henry Anderson, who currently is making, uh, according to Over the Cap, the second most um, money. Yeah, no, he will not be sticking around. Um, if you go to overthecap.com, it lists all the Jets players, and that it's just ridiculous. That was not a great contract there by former GM Mike McCagnon. He goes on further to say, to state that Marcus May will be re-signed. That is a priority for the Jets this offseason. And we mentioned it last week, and we mentioned it the past few weeks. It has to be priority number one. Marcus May has played so well last year. He's one of the more underrated safeties in the league, and he's just getting better. He's getting up there. I think he'll be 27, if I'm not
I think he'll
mistaken.
be 28.
Really, 28. But he's still young in terms of like the NFL. Like he's only been in the league for like 4 years, so he doesn't have a whole lot of wear and tear on him. Plus, he's also a safety. He could play, well into his 30s and still be playing at a high level.
Right.
So I think it is imperative for the Jets defense. And with Robert Saleh there and Joe Douglas is here, I think they'll get it done.
Well, now he's essentially, I think he's the longest tenured defensive player on the Jets
That's
for
not good.
4 years. That's not good. So you need, I guess you call it veteran leadership there, and it's a goodwill move. You know what?
Yes.
I'm lying. It's not a goodwill move. It's an imperative move because I mean, this past season he absolutely balled out. He made two ridiculous fucking interceptions. His coverage game has gotten very good. And you need to build around him. You need to have a guy you can build around. So you'll have May and you'll have Quentin Williams, and those are cornerstone pieces of your defense. You just can't let them walk away like that.
Yeah.
So
No, that's for certain. The one thing that did catch me off guard was that the Jets um, might not bring back Brian Poole, which kind of surprising considering his play, but I can understand it from the viewpoint of he gets hurt like every year, and that's
right.
his biggest like downfall.
Well, Brian Poole, as we said in past episodes, great slot corner. They keep bringing him back for 1 year deals. He gets the job done. Um, it is a very saturated cornerback market.
Mm,
And when you have guys like Richard Sherman and Josh Norman who are potentially available, and you have guys in the draft that are going to be available, it might just be cheaper for them to just, draft somebody, then re-sign Poole, or to just go get that established name who still has a few years left in him. I'm on the bandwagon. They should bring Poole back. I think his play has warranted another contract. Um, you know, we haven't had a slot corner since the first 2 years of Buster Screen, and then he shit the bed. But no, I think Brian Poole should be re-signed. And if he wants to be on the team, I think it's going to have to be a very team-friendly deal.
Yeah, I think so too, especially if the reports are true that, and more than likely the Jets going big game hunting, so to speak, in terms of the big name free agents that they want to bring in. So, but other not so surprising names that might not be back would include Jordan Jenkins, Rashard Perriman, Terrell Basham. One that is, he was a starter, Alex Lewis. He also he's getting paid, well, currently 5.8 million, but carries zero dead cap. So he could be another cap casualty, which can be replaced in the draft, or Jets can just go and sign Joe Thuney or a Brandon Sheriff, and that would just fix that issue. You get improvement there, you save some money. I could definitely see that scenario
Yeah,
unfolding.
no, and with the cap being, I don't think it's finalized, but they're saying it's hovering around 180 million.
Hmm.
The Jets are definitely going to. They already have enough cap as it is, but why not make uh make that cap even bigger? Just because you're going to have free agent guys like Joe Thuney out there, and you're going to have to repay Marcus May, and every dollar helps, especially with this pandemic. And looking at the cap figures for half the league, oh boy, there's going to be a lot of movement around the league this
Oh yeah.
offseason, especially in Philadelphia and
Hmm.
especially in New Orleans. Projected right now with there's a $185 million cap. Spot Track has the New Orleans Saints at negative $70 million in cap. The Philadelphia Eagles are 31st with a negative 41 million. The Rams are 30th with negative 25 million. Green Bay negative 21 million, and Atlanta with negative 23 million. Those are the top five worst cap teams, assuming
Wow.
the cap is 185 million. If it's higher, those numbers get a little bit better, but if it's lower, they'll get a little bit worse. So you're definitely going to see a lot of movement through through the bottom half of the leagues here. And just to rattle off a couple of teams that are in cap trouble.
Yeah, well, we've already excuse me, like seen like scenarios from other teams,
Yeah,
excuse me, of what they would do with this crazy cap. You're going to have a lot of restructuring of contracts.
yeah,
Like you said, a lot of movement for these other squads. Thankfully, the Jets aren't in cap hell like they once were when they gave out huge deals to Sanchez and aging Bart Scott and Santonio Holmes.
yeah.
But anywho, uh, the other note from Connor Hughes is that the Jets do like Pat Elflin, former
Okay.
Viking. They claimed him off waivers back in November-ish, who played all right down the stretch. I wouldn't mind him returning at guard as a backup. Again, if the Jets grab one of Thuney or Sheriff, that answers that situation. Um, and also the Jets apparently do like Joe Thuney from the
Damn
Patriots.
straight. They like Joe Thuney. They don't just like him; they love him.
They love him. And Curtis Samuel, who I don't know what's with Jet fans' infatuation with Curtis Samuel. This guy has shown it's not like a situation where Corey Davis over the past 2 seasons has broken out. Um, Maybe that's in part due to the fact that AJ Brown is opposite of him and he's looking really well.
Yeah,
But Curtis Samuel has underwhelmed in his NFL career, and he has guys like DJ Moore opposite of him. He had now like last year Robbie Anderson. It's just, to me, he seems like a lesser version of Jameson Crowder. We have a guy who you could put in a slot. We have one of the best in the game in Jameson Crowder, who even though he is the highest paid player at 10 million, he could be a cap casualty since it's zero in dead money. Um, uh, Actually, 1 million dead money, so the Jets would save about 9 mil. Um, but he's an integral part of the team. He's a veteran presence. He's a leader. And he's just a good player. You want to
Yes.
keep a guy like Crowder. I don't know what would be the point of adding Samuel. Like, where would he fit as well? Because you would have Crowder in a slot. You have Mims on the outside. Assuming you address the opposite receiver on the outside across from Mims in the draft or in free agency with someone better than Samuel. I just don't get
Well, first off, shout out to Erasmus Hall, Brooklyn boy.
it.
My real quick, my dad went to Erasmus Hall High School,
Mm,
and he loves them. He just so many famous people went to Erasmus Hall, Barbara Streisand and this one and that one. So my dad has a lot of pride for this school.
mm.
I ended up getting him like one of those hoodies that you can put whatever you want on it. So I got him an Erasmus Hall thing for Christmas, and he fucking went nuts. He loved it. So shout out to Erasmus Hall. That's where Curtis Samuel played high school ball. Our good friend Nick Casucci. I remember when he was hyping up Curtis. Yeah, he's gonna be great. I guess his dad, Nick's dad, knows Curtis Samuel's dad, and I don't know. I guess he thought in his head he was going to meet an NFL player. I don't know.
Like famous photo with Iran Judge that Nick was at.
Yeah. Oh shit. I can't wait to get him on the show and just start busting his chops a little bit. He's gonna feel it. But back to Curtis Samuel, the football player for the New York Jets. I just don't see that happening. Like you said, they already have slot lined up with Jameson Crowder. They got a number two, borderline number one with Mims. I think they're going to be able to attract an Allen Robinson in free agency. I just don't see where he fits in. He's not going to be playing as fourth receiver because he will not be taking fourth receiver money.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think he'll go to a team like maybe New England. New England needs some help alongside. Is Edelman still going to be there? You think?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think,
So
Belichick wants to keep guys like Edelman around, and Edelman's still good, even though he's on steroids,
yeah.
allegedly. Um, it's
So yeah, he might go to a team like New England or maybe a team like Arizona or maybe even Dallas
hmm,
to to line up in the slot. So who knows? I just don't think he's a Jet. I wouldn't say his career was underwhelming. I just think that the situation in Carolina just wasn't the right situation for him. Sometimes a guy just needs to change the scenery. I mean, you look at Robbie
yeah,
Anderson, undrafted. The Jets, was it a good system for him? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, he was just used as deep threat player. But in his final season with the Jets, you can definitely see that his route running got a lot better. It's just they couldn't get the ball to him. He goes
no,
down to
that's true.
Carolina and he's got 1,000 yard season. So it's one of those things where you have to just get a change of scenery, a breath of fresh air, and I think that'll be a Curtis Samuel type thing where once he gets elsewhere and a team that knows how to utilize him, he'll be a decent receiver.
All right, yeah, no, I can definitely see that, but I think we're both agreement not with the Jets. Don't think the fit's really there. I don't think he's even like a Joe Douglas type of target too.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's just they already have receiver pretty much locked up,
yeah,
and it's just he just wouldn't fit.
no, definitely. But moving on to the major news this week, uh, being the surprise Matt Stafford trade. Not the surprise that Matthew Stafford was going to be traded. That was, you know, the news last week that broke out that mutual agreement. Stafford move him to a team where he can have a chance to actually win. The Lions hit and reset a bit. So the Detroit Lions sending Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams in return for 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and quarterback Jared Goff. Goff, I believe, is only what, 25, 26? He's still fairly young. He's not been the best, but he's not been the worst. He's been to a Super Bowl. Did not look good in the Super Bowl, but I
Never
think,
got to check that box
and
that Sean McVay was talking about.
no, no, it's not. But I mean, the Rams are going all in. They've not had a first round pick for now. It's going to be like 5, 6, 7 straight years. They're going all
Yeah,
in. They have the best defensive player in football, but maybe the best overall player in football in Aaron Donald. Their defense is solid, even though losing their defense coordinator to the Chargers. Um, they have Sean McVay, one of the top 10 coaches in the league. They have a high-powered offense with Woods, with Cup, and now you add an improved quarterback situation. You have Stafford, who's a top 10, and at times, when healthy, looks like a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's always been underrated in his career. A lot of people attribute that to Calvin Johnson, but Megatron left, and he still chefed it up in shitty Detroit.
right,
So a lot of people were trying to take shots at, oh, what are the Rams doing, trading all that just for a slight upgrade, which is a clueless take,
right.
saying that Stafford is only slightly better than Goff, or trying to crap on the Lions side where it's like, well, they recouped a couple first round picks, they got premium picks, and they have a pretty young quarterback just to see what they have in their current rebuilding process because the Lions are going to be maybe like 2 3 years in this, rebuild of theirs. So
Right.
having some consistency there at quarterback and building around that isn't bad either. And you get picks for your, 34-year-old quarterback you're shipping out. I think it's a great deal actually for both sides.
I was just about to say I think it's a win-win for both teams. LA, as you said, they're going all in with this trade. I've always liked Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
Ever since he got drafted to Detroit, I think
should have been a Jet.
should have been a Jet. Absolutely, that was he got drafted the year Mark Sanchez did, right?
Yep.
Matt Stafford. Yeah, at 2009.
Yep. It's really
Yeah.
crazy to think, like, just thinking if the Jets, they could have had Matt Stafford if only they didn't like trade for Brett for like there's so many dominoes. And just imagine if the Jets had Matt Stafford, I think they go to the Super Bowl one of those 2 years. Stafford
I mean,
was always
that's
better
that's
than
that's
Sanchez.
that's yeah, that's true, but that's really hard to. You can't really go back and
We
because
can
the
go
whole
back.
the Jets' entire offensive game plan back then was just ground and pound,
Hmm.
and would it have been the same thing? More than likely, yes. But how would have Stafford reacted to a Rex Ryan, Brian Schottenheimer offensive system? It's just like it's really tough to say things like that.
Well, it's a guy with Stafford. I mean, Sanchez is no longer in the league, so Stafford.
Yeah,
You have to have that mentality with a quarterback, and you can see like looking past, like look at Deshaun Watson. He's had a terrible hand dealt to him in his career and has made the most of it. And you have those dumb people. I just love seeing it. What did Deshaun Watson ever win? What did Andrew Luck ever win? Well, let's take a look at the team around him. They're making most of what they got. And Matt Stafford, I mean, again, this is hypothetical. Who cares? But I think he would have been so much better uh, for the Jets than Sanchez ever was. But that's then. This is now. So
but yeah, let me just finish up my point with
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a win-win deal for both teams. LA, as you said, going all in, and why shouldn't they? They got guys like Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald on
Hmm.
defense, Robert Woods, Cam Akers, Mr. Cooper Cup
Hmm.
at receiver, and they just needed that quarterback to get over the hump, and bam, they got their guy in Matt Stafford, a veteran guy who has, you know, I was taking a look at his career statistics over the past his entire career earlier on today. I did not realize that this man is a fucking touchdown throwing machine. He's got 282 touchdowns, so 144 interceptions. I had no clue. just blew my mind that he was fucking lighting it up there, like he was
It's
in
because he's in Detroit.
Detroit. Exactly, and he was such an afterthought. But it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with a team around him now. Not to say that he didn't have quality receivers in Detroit, because in the last 2 years of his career there he did. But it'd be one year, oh, the defense is great, but he's got nobody to throw to, or yeah, he's got finally got this receiver, but his defense is putrid.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how that works out for him. But I'm also excited to see how the Lions finally, start to turn their franchise around. I think they were in the same boat as the Jets, where they finally realized, okay, we've been losing for the last 870 years. They wasted literally two of the greatest at their position in Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. Enough is enough. Let's get down to it. And they were able to take on that salary dump. They get their 2 first-round picks. They get a third rounder. And like you said, they get a young guy in Jared Goff who, hey, if he lights it up, you look like a genius. If not, okay, now we use one of those first-round picks on a quarterback, or we trade for a quarterback, or we do something.
Yeah.
So I think you're gonna see Detroit start to come up in the NFC North, um, especially with the Chicago Bears just being as fucking bad as they are. The Vikings, I feel like, are forever in purgatory, and I think the Green Bay Packers, they're gonna start sliding a little bit. So now this is Detroit's time to,
Yeah.
okay,
And
let's build their team up.
they could build it up in a year or two, and rebuilds don't take like 3, 4 years anymore like they used to, where you just have to wait, knowing the development and everything. A new regime, who knows? Dan Campbell, they're going to be taking out kneecaps everywhere, so the
Yeah,
Lions, it may turn around quickly for them.
gonna
Um,
take the bite out of them.
yeah, but do you think? Because I've been pondering this. Now that Stafford is with the Rams, does this make the Rams the favorite to win the NFC West division this upcoming season?
Oh, without
And
a doubt in my mind. Without a doubt in my
considering
mind.
considering the competition in that division, you have the
Yes.
Cardinals who are continually getting better. You
Okay.
have the Seahawks who are there, and Russ is there, and the Niners should be back healthy.
Talent wise, the Rams blow all four of them out of the water. The Rams
Hmm,
receiver wise, you look at the
I
Rams
don't know about that.
receiving. I well
I'd take the Niners slightly.
okay, I mean, I'll give you my reason
Okay.
now. So receiver wise, they got I would argue maybe top 15 receiver, two top 15 receivers in Cooper Cup and Robert Woods.
Yeah.
They have a decent running back in Cam Akers. Their offensive line is pretty good. They had two tight ends in Everett, who might be a Jet,
Hmm.
when we talked about last episode or an episode before that, and that other tight end,
Higby.
blanking on his name. Yes, so they had a lot of versatility there. And you're never going to get the same look twice. So, they're always running different. Okay, well, Higby was on the field this time. Okay, now Everett's on. So now they got a game plan for him. And so, offensive wise, I think the Rams are going to be filthy. Defensive wise, again, best fucking player in football, Aaron Donald, who gets triple teamed at times and still able to get his way through the quarterback. He's still there. The Rams have a really good front seven. Their secondary is still very good, led by Jalen Ramsey. And what's insane is a lot of these guys that they have assembled right now are starting their prime, in the middle of their prime, or at the tail end of their prime. And this is, they got to strike while the iron's hot, and that's why they made that deal for Matt Stafford. I seriously think the Rams are going to eviscerate in the NFC West next year.
Hmm.
Eviscerate the NFC
It's
West.
it's certainly interesting. It just seems like that the NFC just keeps getting better and better,
Right.
and the
And
AFC is just the Chiefs.
and sorry to cut you off, but I just want to finish up with this.
Mhm.
So the Cardinals have their franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray. They
Right.
haven't really done a good job surrounding him with the talent. Now,
Well,
uh,
they traded for one of the best receivers in the league.
Okay, all right, but they still have DeAndre Hopkins. That's it. They're running with old ass Larry Fitzgerald, who legend. He still can produce, but
But Christian Kirk sucks. I think that, well, the
eh,
Cardinals' problem is what's Houston's problem is they need to address the O line for the
yeah,
love of God.
they have no running game, and it's just
Hmm.
he's getting punished back there. The 49ers are in limbo. Great defense, but now
Mm,
that you've got your top three guys coming back from ACL tears, and Bosa and what's his face Ford,
yeah,
that
forward.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that both got injured against the Jets, torn ACLs.
Well,
They were
Thomas
done
did.
for.
Solomon Thomas did.
Oh, Solomon
But
Thomas,
D
right? That's
Ford
right.
missed a large portion of the
Right.
year as well.
So now you got to see how are they coming back from that. Is Bosa going to still be as effective as he was off the edge with the torn ACL? You're definitely losing Richard Sherman. He's coming over to the Jets. So they got questions at cornerback, quarterback wise, and we're going to get into this in a minute with the next topic. Jimmy Garoppolo, is he the guy that can lead them to a Super Bowl? I don't know. I
Well,
mean, again, he
he
just
did.
he just tore. Well, a Super Bowl win, not a Super Bowl. He just tore his ACL. How is he going to be coming back? There's so many question marks surrounding that team. And then again, with the Seahawks, it's fucking Russell Wilson up there and DK Metcalf. It's similar to the situation where it
And
was
Tyler
Russell
Lockett.
Wilson.
Let's put some respect, honestly.
I was going to say it's similar to the situation with him and Tyler Lockett a few years ago, where it was literally fucking those two, and that was the entire offense. Their
But
running game, their running
Seattle
games,
no longer has Schottenheimer. That's a big thing.
yeah, yeah.
Their
But
defense
they
may
got
still be terrible, but the offense should be better. Should be
they got to
consistent.
find someone that can replace, that level of badness in Schottenheimer.
I think they hired Anthony Lynn, which not a bad. It's
Right.
better than Schottenheimer.
But there's a lot of questions up there too. Defensive wise, they got to work on their secondary. They got to work on their fucking passing attack.
Mm.
I just think the Rams are set up, and again, anything can happen between now and the start of the next season, injuries and contract holdouts and whatever. But I think the Rams are poised for a monster season next year in the NFC West. I honestly think
Okay.
they can go 13-3, and that's no guess.
No, I definitely could see that. Depending upon, they could probably get home field advantage. I mean, it'd probably
Yeah,
be between them, uh, say Tampa, and most likely Green Bay. One of those three getting the number one seed in the NFC this or next year, next season, excuse me. Yeah, no, I would agree with you that the Rams, they're definitely like the top dog in that division currently after making that move. But speaking of, you touched on Garoppolo. How does this trade affect other potential trade? Now, we just got news today, just before the podcast, that the Eagles are close to getting ready to trading Carson Wentz, which blows my mind, being that they hired a former guy connected to Frank Reich from Indy who can't speak properly in a press conference, who nobody ever heard of, over guys like Eric Bieniemy and Brian Dabble and Don Martindale and Greg Roman and all these better candidates. The Eagles, to me, it just seems like Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie are just like screwing their team. Like the franchise, like the Eagles have been in our lifetime, and I think we talked about this last week, maybe, that have been, I would say, the Eagles, along with the Pats, the Ravens, the Packers, the Steelers, all those teams have, even though where there's down years, they may go 6-10, 8-9, 8-8, 9-7, they'll bounce back very quickly and be not just like, oh, wild card contender, no, Super Bowl contenders throughout the years, um, and and play consistent. And the Eagles, when they drafted Donovan McNabb and had Andy Reid, they went to four straight NFC championships. They went to a Super Bowl. They were When they brought in Mike Vick, they were contenders. Uh, it was only really a down time when Chip Kelly came in, but that was a quick, wrap up. That was only, I believe, 2 seasons of that debacle. and then in comes Frank Reich, and they finally win their first Super Bowl. But since then, it's just been, Wentz getting hurt, not playing well, being one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, and you side with him, you get rid of your Super Bowl winning coach who's making questionable decisions, but you side with the quarterback, you bring in a head coach to hopefully fix your quarterback, and now you're going to just ship him out and then, I guess, roll with Jalen Hurts. I have no idea what the Eagles are doing, but all I know is Wentz isn't going to get what Stafford got. So, especially considering the Eagles are kind of screwed right now with their cap and everything. If they want to move Wentz, they're going to get, I would, maybe a second round pick, maybe.
Uh, well, yeah. Carson Wentz, he's had a rough season. He threw 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions in a 12 games this season. Between the injuries he's had with the knees and the broken back, and just the poor play over the last 3 seasons, I really do think his time is up in Philadelphia. When he first got drafted, I remember talking with you and a few of the other guys in the group chat. Joe Maz was, I believe it was Joe Maz.
Mhm.
So either Joe Maz or his brother was ecstatic that they got Carson Wentz, and you had Joe Poe and you had Nick Poe, and they were, I don't know about that one. I really don't know. And then he had a solid first 2 seasons, first 2 3 seasons actually. He looked like, okay, he might be the guy. But then the injuries started coming about, and then
Well, that
poor
Super Bowl
plays
year, he played
started
like an MVP until what was
until
it, ACL tear or
the
broke his leg
ACL,
after?
yeah. And then we're getting reports that he's not a good teammate, and a lot of people want to project this as media, like, yeah, but the media does play a part in it, absolutely. But if they're all reporting on the same thing and it's consistently being reported, and you're not hearing teammates talk out about it, there's definitely some validity to what they're reporting.
Yeah, when there's smoke, there's fire.
So, with that being said, the two teams that are projected to inquire about Carson Wentz's service are the Minnesota Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Chicago Bears. Frank Reich makes absolute sense for Philadelphia and Indianapolis trading because Carson Wentz had his best seasons under Frank Reich, and I think that magic can be done again with the proper coaching, and Indianapolis is in a better position. They have a lot of cap space. They can give him some talent. They still got T.Y. Hilton. They got one of the best offensive lines in football. They got a great running game, and they got a defense. So the Colts would be a great landing spot, and I think
Mhm.
they actually might be able to get a little bit more from Indianapolis as opposed to the Chicago Bears. And if the Chicago Bears make this deal, it's just it's just a
That can work as
mind-boggling
well
move.
because it all comes from that Andy Reid coaching tree. Mentioned Doug Peterson, Frank
Yeah.
Reich, and Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was in Kansas City, who has that connection with Andy Reid. It's a similar type of offense. So I think I could see a scenario where, I mean, the Bears, they keep wanting to, like, because the Bears are another stupid organization that are stubborn, running it back with Trubisky. Why not just trade Trubisky and say, third round pick to Philly for Wentz in his contract? I think that would
Well,
be a clean slate for both teams. For Philly, you get, all right, Trubisky, you're coming in as the vet, battle it out with Jalen Hurts. Let's see what we got here. Whoever wins. And for Chicago, you hope and pray you got Wentz, and kind of be funny, you got Wentz and Foles back together, uh,
yeah.
and hopefully be an upgrade for the Bears at quarterback.
I disagree with your sentiment of Chicago would be a great landing spot. Mitch Trubisky is a terrible quarterback. I mean, we've seen his
Yes, yes.
play. Um,
Not according to our good friend Joe, who would rather have Mitch Trubisky. He is an Indianapolis Colts fan, and he was probably the only Colts fan who would prefer Mitch Trubisky over the likes of Jimmy Garoppolo and Carson Wentz And it just blows my mind how he can look at Mitch Trubisky play football and say, yep, this guy would be great for the Indianapolis Colts,
Yeah.
which I'm hoping is the case. I hope Mitch Trubisky somehow gets to Indianapolis.
Well, it could very well happen if the Bears decide to overpay for for Carson Wentz. I wouldn't mind the Colts overpaying for Carson Wentz because they have the team to support him and they have the cap space, as opposed to the Chicago Bears that they're really just grasping straws now. They're going to lose Allen Robinson. They have a suspect running game. Their offensive line is eh. Matt Nagy, he's a great offensive mind, but how much of that is just Mitch Trubisky not being able to execute. They have a great defense, but if you don't have your offense firing on all cylinders, it don't matter how great your defense is. You're not doing anything, and that was the case with the Bears over the past 2 seasons. So I would hope Carson Wentz gets to Philadelphia or Indianapolis. I just think it's a better fit for him. And it looks like it's going to be any hour now that this trade's going to go through. And as of right now on Twitter.com, it's looking like Carson Wentz is packed his bags and is ready to go to Indianapolis, but nothing's official until it's official.
Yeah, until we get the breaking news ribbon or notification. But yeah,
Yes.
Wentz looks to be the next quarterback on the move. Uh, Another one, we're waiting on Watson. That has cooled off a bit. I I just can't see him being a Texan. But I think the longer it's going on, it just seems like where is he going to go? I mean, we've talked it ad nauseum with the Jets. We've already covered that, so there's no even because there's no new news there with Watson. So
Well,
Watson, we'll see. We know the cost. We know it's going to cost a lot.
I was gonna say it was originally 3 first round picks, but after this deal with with Watts or Stafford and Goff,
Well,
where the Rams gave up Goff and 2 first
mhm.
rounders. Now the Texans are going to look at this, and we've seen it on Twitter where now
Well,
they've upped it to four first
yeah,
round
but that
picks.
those are dumb fans. The reporter, the senior reporter for the Houston Texans, John McClain, I believe, not Die Hard, but uh, he's saying originally like, oh, the Texans won't trade Watson, especially not to the Jets, blah blah blah, and then now it's like the Goff Stafford deal doesn't change what the Texans want. They've always wanted, so now it's come out. Okay, they've always wanted 3 first rounders and 2 defensive starters, plus a young quarterback. Well, the Jets have 3 first rounders. They're all yours. They have a young quarterback to give. Darnold, he's all yours. But 2 defensive starters, what does that mean exactly? Because there's no way in hell, if I'm the Jets, I would trade 3 first round picks, Darnold, plus say like Quinnen Williams and C.J. Mosley. That's not happening, and
No,
you're not getting that. The Texans, they're in a rut again. We've covered that time and time again. I think what the deal will end up looking like would be like say 3 first round picks and maybe a second round pick and probably a young quarterback. If he goes to the Jets, it'll be Darnold. If he goes to the Dolphins, it'll be Tua. I can't see him going anywhere else unless, of course, that that in the back of my mind dread of we'll trade him to the Patriots for like a 4th round pick. Ha ha ha.
yeah,
Just something shady. Something always has to happen. But the other quarterback, big name quarterback, talked about before, Jimmy Garoppolo, 49ers. Again, he's coming off. He's injured, but when he's healthy, he plays pretty well if everything kind of goes right for him. And I've mentioned this to some of our friends. I think the best thing would be to trade him to the Patriots back in New England for like a 3rd or 4th round pick. Belichick, I believe, would be ecstatic. He never wanted Garoppolo to be moved. That was one of the very few instances of Robert Kraft interfering in football operations to please Tom Brady. who was getting salty at the fact that Garoppolo was creeping up. So they shipped him out, and I think he would flourish being back with Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, in those starts when Brady was suspended for deflating footballs, a known cheating tactic. Sorry, I didn't mean to put the mic that close, but I just wanted to emphasize that Tom Brady is a cheater. Um, he
Soon to be
really played
seven-time
well.
Super Bowl champion. But continue.
Yeah. When he started for that 4 game stretch, he had a 3-1 start, and he looked really good. And again, as you said, Robert Kraft said, "Nope, get him out of here. We want to please Brady, who at the time was what, 39, 38,
40.
40.
He's old,
He was
like he is
yeah,
now.
yeah." Um, Yeah, and Brady should Belichick wanted Brady gone years ago, and it was well known with Garoppolo, and so there he goes and over to 49ers, and then when Brady was suspended again, here comes Jacoby Brissett, and he fit that system well. So it has a lot to say about Bill Belichick's system, where if he can get the type of quarterback that he needs, they will flourish, and Jimmy Garoppolo was that type of quarterback where game manager. He's able to dink and dunk. And Bill Belichick's offense is so good in the fact that he can throw 7 different
Creates open the receiver. There's always at least one receiver
yeah,
open.
7 different types of looks. And oh shit, okay, so we're double teaming Gronk, and oh, we just left Edelman open, and oh shit,
And there goes
okay, well,
Amendola, and then
Edelman's going for the screen. Oh shit, he's actually launching it to um uh, I don't know, Gronkowski for a touchdown. I'm just
Mhm.
so his offense is very
he needs something other than a broken Cam and a terrible Jared Stidham.
right. And like you said, the New England Patriots might be a great spot for him. What can they get? The 49ers get for Garoppolo? I don't know.
With his contract, I think no more than a second or a
Maybe
third.
a second. Yeah, I'd say a second. Yeah, I mean, again,
If we're getting reports that with Adam Schefter this past week saying that the Jets may get a late first round pick for Darnold, that because we are running a bit late, um, we'll save that for next week. Little tease there. For next episode, we'll talk
ooh,
about unless he's traded on this time with Sam Darnold. Adam Schefter talking about that the Jets may end up getting a first round pick from possibly Chicago or maybe Indianapolis or even New Orleans if the Saints can figure out their cap. Um, so we'll get further into that. We may have our first guest on for next week, but let's just move right into the Super Bowl picks. The last game of the 2020 season is finally
um,
here.
Brian,
Yes.
do are we licensed to be able to say that word,
Yeah,
or do we have
well,
to refer to it
right.
as the big
Well,
game?
I'll have to have to have to edit that out in post. Yeah, no. The big
Yeah. So
game, the big,
okay,
not
let's
sponsored
get
by
it
the
right now.
National Football, not sanctioned by the National Football League. So the big game this Sunday, uh, the Kansas City Chiefs repeating as AFC champions, uh, going up against and hosting. No, going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are technically hosting, though it's the AFC hosting. The Chiefs will be wearing their home reds, Bucks in their whites over pewter. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their first Super Bowl appearance and only their second overall in team history since they beat the Oakland Raiders back in 2003, pummeled them. Uh, Tom Brady's first year as a Buck, everything all coming together. You have all these storylines with the Super Bowl. You have LaShawn McCoy, uh, played last year with the Chiefs, now he's with the Bucks. You have two ex-Steelers, Le'Veon Bell with Kansas City, Antonio Brown with Tampa Bay, and you have the changing of the guard. One
Actually,
of the
3x Steelers. You forgot Mr. McClendon.
That's right, Steve McClendon, now with Tampa Bay. Um, under Todd Bowles, former ex-Jets head coach, coached up that defense well. They have Vita Vea back. The Chiefs in the AFC title game lost Eric Fisher. That's very big for them. They've had have dealt with some COVID issues. They may or may not have Sammy Watkins for this game. Um, but as I was mentioning, the changing of the guard, one of the all-time greats, Tom Brady, in his ninth. No, wait, is his
10th.
ninth or 10th overall?
10th. 10th.
10th. Yes, that's right, because he lost to the Giants twice and the Eagles once. 10th overall Super Bowl appearance, never to be duplicated. Maybe. Great quarterback, and you have on the other side already has accomplished so much in his young career and may well be on his way to being the greatest of all time himself and Pat Mahomes. It's a storybook type of Super Bowl that would be made into a shitty Netflix adaptation, but here it is: Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm taking the Bucks
Wow.
35-33. I think so many people are forgetting how good this Bucks team is, as I did in the NFC title game and in the divisional round when I bet against them, against the Packers and Saints respectively. I like the Chiefs a lot. The Chiefs are going to be around for another 15, 20 years, but Tampa Bay is all about now. I think they have a better overall defense than Kansas City. Offense, I don't think it's that far off. I just think it'll be a type of game. It'll be a good game, I feel, and a game where Brady will have to have um, that drive at the end to score, and I think Tampa Bay gets it done.
Well, I am going to disagree with you there on the winner. I believe the
Okay.
Bucks are going to lose this game. Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs back-to-back World Series. Oh my God, Super Bowl or I'm sorry,
NBA
big
Finals
game
champions,
champs.
big game champs.
Big game champs. First time since the New England Patriots did it back in '03 and '04. I just think Pat Mahomes is on top of the world right now. Um, and you know it's going to be sad when his career comes to a close and you know maybe he doesn't get 6 Super Bowl titles, but he gets 4. But you know, and it's the same with basketball where you know, oh, Michael Jordan's better than Kobe Bryant. Okay, why? 6 rings, buddy, 6 rings. Like the same with Tom Brady, and if you compare Tom Brady to Joe Montana, Tom Brady, 6 rings, and there's a lot of stupid fucking analysts on TV. Always make that fucking argument. Well, yeah, LeBron James. If he wins 2 more rings, is he the greatest of all time? Motherfucker, how about you look at the stats? How about you look at how he approached the game? How about you look at how he inspired the game and influenced the game? Okay, so Tom Brady and all biases aside, 6-time Super Bowl champion,
Hmm.
basically the innovator of the dink and dunk. So many teams dink and dunk now, and really it was Tom Brady that started that movement. Just punishing you down the field with short passing attack and then just throwing a bomb, and that was his whole fucking mo for his entire career. Pat Mahomes, who's essentially Superman behind the offensive line there, he can make any type of throw, underhand, overhand, sidearm, through the legs. He can do a front flip. He can run. He's already got a Super Bowl to his name. He can do this. You
He's
look
got an
at how he's
MVP.
already you already look how he's influenced the game of football with this new contract that he signed, where now instead of an actual contract, he gets a percentage of the salary cap, and how teams have to game plan around him. It ultimately is going to come down to how many rings Tom Brady has to how many rings Pat Mahomes has, which is a stupid fucking reason why one is better than the other. But going back to my prediction of the game, I think Pat Mahomes is going to slice and dice that uh, Buccaneer defense like he's done defenses the entire season. You can put me down for a 10-point game. Bucks 31, um, Tampa Bay 21.
Okay.
Sorry for that rant.
No, no,
I'm
no,
so
no.
sick of tired of just
I was just
fucking.
thinking because you said Bucks 31, Tampa Bay 21, and that just threw me off for a second.
Oh, did I? Chiefs 31, Tampa Bay 21. Sorry.
No, no, all good. Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a good game either way. Um,
Oh,
not,
it's absolutely going to be a great game.
I think an interesting thing that like I just discovered yesterday that Tom Brady in his previous 9 Super Bowl appearances has not scored a touchdown in the first quarter, at most 3 points. So I wonder if that changes with a new team this Super Bowl, or will it be a typical Brady Super Bowl of starts off slow, other than the Rams Super Bowl, which was god awful. Most Super Bowls involving the Pats are usually exciting, especially coming down to the wire,
Right,
or
right.
with Brady, I should say. But yeah, no. So we shall see.
I think real quick, sorry
Yeah,
to throw up. I think what it's going to come down to is experience. Tom Brady has the experience of 10 Super Bowls. Antonio Brown has the experience of a Super Bowl, but really the rest of that Bucks team, it's their first big game.
Brown doesn't
Playing
have a
for.
Super Bowl actually.
You sure? I could have swore. When was the
No,
last time
I don't think.
Pittsburgh?
In terms of Super Bowl, I think. I don't even think Ndamukong Suh, Brady, and Gronk. And that's it.
You know who I was thinking of? Santonio Holmes.
Oh,
Santonio Holmes.
both former malcontent Steeler wide receivers.
Yes. Um, I just think the experience of the Chiefs are going to play a big factor as well, because essentially that whole team, minus a few players here and there, is coming back. Um,
I
so
think their
they
O line is really banged up. That's what's concerning to me is that I would, which is wild to say, the Chiefs in terms of talent at running back, definitely, but in terms of play design and actual play on the field throughout this playoffs, the Bucks with Fournette and Ronald Jones have looked 10 times better than Le'Veon Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. In terms of the receiving game, it's comparable. I mean, we know with the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and McCole Hardman and Watkins, if he's healthy. But I mean, Tampa Bay, they're loaded too with Evans and Gronk and Godwin and Brown. So it's it'll come down to which quarterback makes less mistakes. I feel
yes,
so.
yeah, and it's gonna be a hell of a bat. It's gonna be the battle of the Titans at quarterback, and it's gonna be a great game. I'm excited for it, and I hope you enjoy the game Sunday, Brian. It'll be a
Yes, I
good one.
hope so too for you, Paul. Next week we will absolutely talk more about quarterbacks on the move. Like I said, we'll see if we can get our first guest on. We'll also obviously talk about the Super Bowl and all the great commercials I'm sure that will be appearing, all the hilarious knee slappers um,
I
that
can't wait
will.
to see which woke commercials get played. I
Oh,
cannot wait for this.
uh, which yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Every year it gets worse and worse. Just bring back the E Trade baby, for the love of God.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Did you
and
happen to catch the show that CBS put out? I think it was this past Wednesday.
I didn't.
Best of Super Bowl commercials.
It was recorded. It's on my DVR. I'll
Yeah,
probably tune into that tomorrow. It's always great to like see like the classics, like the Budweiser was up from when we were kids, like little
right.
kids, and all the old like classic commercials that were actually funny.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it Doritos or Doritos? Where like the one guy's just he's just sitting in a chair. He finally opens up a bag, and out comes like a giant mouse that attacks. It just tackles him for the bag of Doritos, and it's just simple, stupid stuff like that should be Super Bowl commercials. But like,
Yeah.
the past few years has been like more dreary and everything. And it's just like reality. It's like I don't want reality. I want dumb. Give me
Right.
dumb. Therefore, I
People
am.
people tune in to
I,
get away from reality, not
yes, football is escapism, especially Super Bowl. Hopefully the half. What was it last year? A halftime show. I was actually talking about this off air with Nick Paul.
oh, it was Shakira and J-Lo.
that was a great halftime show.
Yeah.
I don't know if the weekend will live up to that, but it should be interesting, especially, considering the circumstances. This is the first COVID Bowl, basically.
The
Only 20,
COVID Bowl.
the COVID Bowl, only 25,000 fans in attendance. That's about half, I believe. They managed to squeeze, because originally they had 20,000. They were like, let's squeeze another 5,000 in there.
Yeah.
Socially distanced, I'm sure.
Okay.
Uh, it's important. And but it'll be definitely interesting to see, the field, the stadium. It does suck that they're trying to like put this neutrality in and everything when the Bucks are making history, being the first team ever to host a Super Bowl, and yet they can't fire off the cannons if and when they score in their own home stadium. I think that's a bit ridiculous. Again, the NFL No Fun League not putting two to two together on what fans would like to see.
Yeah.
But that's just a little rant there. But like I said, we'll talk about quarterbacks next week. We'll talk about the Super Bowl, and that'll be it from Jets Flight Path.